happening in the world. Luke had sent out a message Friday afternoon asking us to incorporate some perspectives about judicial actions that have taken place. And so I thought of this song that I'd written many years ago for a domestic violence vigil in Anoka County. We were honoring the lives of 7 women and children that had lost their lives actually to domestic violence. And so this song isn't about constitutional rights, but it's about kind of that moment in time that we're in where we don't know what to do. And what do we do in those moments where we don't know what to do next? And it's called Love Gone Wrong.
What's her name? You've seen her before. She's been in line at your grocery store, staring ahead with that look on her face. Made you believe she was not in that place. Light a candle in her name for love gone wrong. And if we knew how to change it, we would stop it before it starts. And if we knew we would change it, and we'd do so with willing hearts. But we're silent with words to say. So we stand here on this day, lighting candles as we pray for love gone wrong. A mother, daughter, a niece, and a wife. So many titles we hold in our lives. A friend to many, known by few. Certainly no one who knows what to do. Light a candle in her name when love goes wrong. And if we knew how to change it, we would stop it before it starts. And if we knew we would change it, and we would do so with willing hearts. But we're silent with words to say. So we stand here on this day, lighting candles as we pray for love gone wrong.
Thank you so much, Jane. Welcome to First Unitarian Universalist Church, a church of open minds and loving hearts since 1866. We celebrate many sources of wisdom and many spiritual paths. Your faith, your doubts, your questions, your identity are welcome here. You'll find upcoming events in your order of service, and please join us after the service for coffee and donuts downstairs in the commons, or bring your refreshments out to the high tables in the courtyard and enjoy the beautiful weather. Today, we are so glad to welcome Jane Foote here with us to share her music and her words during this hour. Most Sundays, our entire offering collection goes out the doors of our church to support work for a more just and loving world. June's recipient is the Immigration Justice Fund, providing living and legal assistance for families we are supporting in refugee and asylum systems. You can give online or as the plates pass later in the service. Thank you in advance for your generosity. Now let us enter this time of worship with these words from our minister in the 1870s, Reverend Eliza Tupper Wilkes. May our faith in humanity and our message of hope and good cheer light our way. It's good to be together.
I wrote this in March when, remember Snowmageddon that happened in Rochester? I wrote this in March. I was walking home from work, and it was one of those times where the water is rushing into the gutter. At the same time, there's this ice ledge and these huge snow piles. And it just seemed to inspire me to think, wow, that's all water, right? And look how it changes. And so the question that came to mind is, aren't we all like that? Aren't we all trying to find our way?
Rushing of the water as it finds its way in time, we are changing, ever changing on our way. Like rushing of the water as it finds its way in spring, we are changing, ever changing as we go. And each and every snowflake finds her way within the stream, and feelings can't be held now more than any dreams. So we pass both in and through, touching others on our way. But we're changing, changing every day. Somewhere there's a mystery that I can't quite now define. Springtime that's insisting that this snow must now resign. You have led me to an answer that I could not find alone, and I'm changing, changing from your love. Yes, I have changed, ever changed from your love. Ever changing as I go. You brought me closer to the one I'm here to know, and I'm changing, ever changing as I go. See the mystery that we can't quite now define, like this springtime that's insisting that this snow must now resign. You have led me to an answer that I could not find alone, and I've changed, ever changed from your love. Yes, I have changed, changed in that love.
Our chalice lighting this morning are words by Rumi. Let the beauty we love be what we do. Today, like every other day, we wake up empty and frightened. Don't take the door to the study and begin reading. Take down a musical instrument. Let the beauty we love be what we do. There are hundreds of ways to kneel and kiss the ground. Our opening hymn is number 18, What Wondrous Love Is This? Please rise in body or spirit.
Have you ever grown up liking to do something, but you don't know anybody else who enjoys the same things you do? And maybe it's just because your interest is so unique, or maybe it's just because everybody has such diverse interests. Well, today's story, Violet's Music by Angela Johnson, is all about finding what I call your people. Who is in your group of shared interest? Enjoy the illustrations by Laura Huliska Beeth. When Violet was a baby, just a few hours old, she banged her rattle against the crib, hoping others in the nursery would join in. Boom, shake, beat, shake. All day long, Violet played that rattle. Could she find other babies to play along? No, she couldn't, but she'd keep looking. Violet played her music all alone. On Violet's second birthday, Aunt Bertha brought gifts and a box full of paper and crayons, glitter and glue to make horns that would wail. Violet tooted from morning until that night. Wow, woo, woo, all day long. She tried to get everyone to toot with her all day. Wow, woo, woo. Oh yeah, Violet blew that horn. Could she get her family to play with her? No, she couldn't, but she'd keep on looking. And Violet blew her horn all alone. Violet wondered in kindergarten if there were other kids like her who dreamed music, thought music all day long. But she found that some liked to paint, some liked to paste, others liked to play in the sandbox, and still others just liked to stand around eating paste. No one wanted to play music all day long. One day on the beach, Violet played with a badminton racket, a pretend guitar, hoping someone would join in. Plink, plink, pluck, pluck. Violet played that guitar. Could she find another guitarist buried in the sand? No, she couldn't. But she'd keep looking. Violet played her guitar all alone. With Violet, you see, it was music all the time. Breakfast time, dinner time, bath time, and all times in between. Whenever she walked down the street or hid behind the market's vegetable bins or sat on the fire escape, Violet was always looking for people like her. Could she find them at the zoo? Nope. At the museum? No, it was too quiet. And forget about finding them at the dentist. She'd keep looking. Violet and her music, always looking. Until one day, a few summers later, Violet was playing her guitar, a real one now, in the park. Twang, twang, yeah, yeah, twang, twang, yeah. When, over by the fountain, someone started beating a drum. Then behind the jungle gym, a saxophone blew real smooth. And over beside the flower garden, well, someone started to sing. Now, Angel, Randy, and Juan are in Violet's band. And if you ask any of them whether they thought they'd find each other, they'll say, oh yeah, we did. We knew we would. Because when we were in the nursery and when we were 2, and later in kindergarten and at the beach, we kept on looking for kids playing music too. We will now hear the children's benediction, and I'll meet you over.
Like my hair, my cello interludes are a product of our COVID world. In the beginning, for our recorded services, we needed hymns, but we couldn't sing. The cello became my voice. I've always loved to play on hymns with Connie or Austin or whoever, but this was something different. Alone, unaccompanied, often recorded at home on a Thursday, or better yet, for Erica on a Wednesday. That's how I started writing cello interludes. Leonard Bernstein said, to achieve great things, 2 things are needed, a plan and not quite enough time. When I sit at my cello on Friday or Saturday to pull together a little cello interlude for Sunday morning, that quote is often in the back of my mind. As a composer and creative person, I crave deadlines. They force me to grab the music that's floating around in the air or in my brain and wrestle it onto the page, either with a pencil and paper or my computer, or in the end, usually both. So besides the deadline, I can usually come up with a plan. The key is having confidence in what I can learn, read, and execute on my instrument. I use tricks that I've learned from all the music I've studied and played. And as a church musician, Johann Sebastian Bach is a great inspiration. He said, "The aim and final end of all music should be none other than the glory of God and the refreshment of the soul." As a Tao-inspired UU, I'm no 17th century Lutheran, but the dance between the mystery and science of music, in that dance, I find my way of making sense of the world. In the artistic flow, I find peace. This quote from Bach also inspires me. It's easy to play any musical instrument. All you have to do is to touch the right key at the right time, and the instrument will play itself. Yeah. He was a keyboard player. I try to write music that is idiomatic. That means it feels good to play on the cello, not needlessly difficult. It's the only way to approach the audacious task of writing and learning a cello interludes in a day or two at the most. Bach's unaccompanied suites are always lurking in my cello composer brain, and I recall one of my composition teachers telling me there is a chorale or hymn tune at the heart of everything Bach wrote. I don't know if that's completely true, but I know he was inspired by well over 150 melodies written by others. So I often try to apply some of his techniques to my work. Usually the melody has been buzzing around in the back of my brain since Monday, when I found out what hymns or music is up for the week. Sometimes it flows easily out into my fingers and bow upon the cello. Other times I have to tease and pull and toss the notes around until I find something that pleases me enough to start writing it down so I don't lose it. Some interludes work better than others. Once in a while, I rewrite a piece that I've used before when it doesn't feel right. There's a couple of hymns that I've set different ways, like I rediscovered the melody and now it has a different meaning for me, or identify with a different element of it, or the events of the week have evolved with its meaning. Or like this week, I was really on top of writing an interlude on When in Our Music. Here it is, proof. It was all done on Thursday, even rehearsed. But then by the end of Friday, it didn't feel right for our service today. So yesterday, I thought a bunch about it, played with it a bit, teased it, see what I could make of it, and ended up going in a completely different direction. So I offer you instead my version of Isaiah Barnwell's piece, Prayer, which he wrote for Sweet Honey in the Rock, and since no one's singing it today, I'd like to share the words with you before I perform it. Lord, must I do unto others before they do unto me? Must I arm myself to protect myself from harm and injury? Well, that is not the lesson that I learned on my mother's knee when she told me to do unto others only what I'd have them do unto me.
Good morning. It is good to be with you. I invite you to settle in here as we create a place of communal caring and connection. It's our time to pause amidst the busyness of our lives, to slow down enough to consider the beauty that is here and all around us, and to open a place for listening and love. Here we honor all who support us in this caring, loving, and all-inclusive ministry. We send gratitude to Paula Horner, serving as our caring coordinator for the last 2 weeks, arranging care for our members and friends in need. Ann Lean will take over tomorrow for the next week, and we thank her for that. The members of our caring committee are wonderful examples of our compassionate community, holding us up as we go through challenging and happy times. These last 2 years have taken a lot out of us. They have taken a lot from us. If during this time of increasing needs in our lives you are experiencing challenges, we encourage you to reach out for support and help. Many of us may need additional care, whether it be personal, pastoral care, or other assistance, and we encourage you to reach out to Reverend Luke or myself with that request. In this community, we share pieces of our lives with one another. We do this because all people here have value. Each person's experience matters. We lift up those who are experiencing sadness, illness, or loneliness. May the strength and love in our congregation help guide you. We revel in those who are experiencing joys in their lives. May their happiness lift us all, and may their joy filter into all around them. May all of us find love, hope, joy, and healing strength in our community. Please keep Roxanne Schlesner and her family in your thoughts. Roxanne's father-in-law, Morris Schlesner, suffered a fall last week and has been hospitalized. He is being monitored for congestive heart failure, pneumonia, and dementia. He has been the sole caregiver for his wife, Jean, who has late-stage dementia, so this is troubling and uncomfortable for her as well, not recognizing her caregivers. Cards of support would be welcomed, and the addresses are available in the Cards of Support list on Facebook and in your e-news. And these words are from Reverend Luke, who has been gathered with our National Association this week in Portland, Oregon. He writes, "Dear beloveds, even expected news can break a heart at the break of day. Even more, in addition to the rage at the fall of Roe, there is also the fear of other laws at risk, knowing there is a difference between a court of law and a court of justice. Know that whatever you are feeling right now is acceptable and needed. Rage, exhaustion, fear, sadness, grief, defiant, recommitted, ready, we all need it. We need all of us. We need each other now. And so from a distance in body, but with you in spirit, I offer these words of prayer. Breathe deep the breath of life. You, made of earth and stars, know you are sacred, holy, beloved. Spirit of life, God of justice and mystery, known by many names and beyond all naming, gather our rage and anger toward action and commitment. Give us the time and soul space we need to care for our own and each other's spirits, so that we may find our way again toward liberation. Help us remember that joy is our birthright, that choice and agency and bodily autonomy is a sacred right of our humanity. Give us the courage and compassion to ensure, through our votes and action, that we remained a land of holy and holistic care here in Minnesota, to open our hearts and doors and resources to all who need support and care. May we carry on the work of our ancestors, activists, and caretakers, and all those who made a way out of no way, and may we do the same. In the words of Adrienne Rich, my heart is moved by all I cannot save. So much has been destroyed. I have to cast my lot with those who age after age, with no extraordinary power, reconstitute the world. May that be so. And amen. We will now receive our offertory for the Immigration Justice Fund.
This next song really is one I sing to myself when I need that rocking chair time to kind of recenter, and it seems appropriate given the words that Pastor Luke just shared.
Gently, gently, you are calling with your heavenly voice. I can't always hear you through human gift of choice. When it seems that all is lost, you are ever holding me. Gently, gently, Spirit, keep leading me. How many times have I begun a task much too large to keep? I bite off more than I can chew, and it chokes me in my sleep. Balance is uneven, but you are ever holding me. Gently, gently, Spirit, keep leading me. Of all the gifts we have and hold, not one shall we keep. I feel this world keep pressing in at a higher, faster speed. The peace inside is waning as I struggle to pull things through. Help me keep the vision in what I do. For gently, gently, you are calling with your heavenly voice. But I can't always hear you through the human gift of choice. But when it seems that all is lost, you are ever holding me. Gently, gently, Spirit, keep leading me.
Today's reading is Where Everything is Music by Rumi. Don't worry about saving these songs, and if one of our instruments breaks, it doesn't matter. We've fallen into a place where everything is music. The strumming and the flute notes rise into the atmosphere, and even if the whole world's harp should burn up, there will still be hidden instruments playing. So the candle flickers and goes out. We have a piece of flint and a spark. This singing art is sea foam. The graceful movements come from a pearl somewhere on the ocean floor. Poems reach up like spindrift and the edge of driftwood along the beach, waiting and wanting. They derive from a slow and powerful root that we cannot see. Stop the words now. Open the window in the center of your chest and let the Spirit fly in and out.
Beautiful, Joe. I think that song was made for the cello. I'm going to be integrating some songs into the message that I'm going to share with you. So there's a couple of songs that'll be in the middle of this as well. When Reverend Luke asked if I would be open to sharing one Sunday this summer, I thought, how amazing that somehow he knew this was on my lifelong bucket list. I mean, isn't that just like Reverend Luke, though, right? He's so connected. And so the title is Songwriting as a Spiritual Practice. And so I'll be sharing with you kind of how this all evolved over my lifetime. But really, I want to be transparent in that my real intention is for each of you listening, whether you're in person or virtually. Hi, Maggie from Australia. That you see or hear something in my experience that inspires you towards your own connection with the divine, so that you know in your bones that you are more than flesh and blood in this lifetime. And when I say divine, please feel free to substitute Jesus or Buddha or Yahweh or Gaia or whatever your spiritual practice is. So songwriting started very early for me. I got my first guitar at the age of 10 in our school guitar club. And Mrs. Stevens, if you're listening, we're still friends on Facebook. You got to love it when your fifth grade music teacher is your Facebook friend. It was those first 6 group guitar lessons that set me on my path of finding guitar, not unlike the children's story, as a way for me to channel one of the gifts that I think that I have in this lifetime music is my medicine. So all of you who are teachers, you know, Joe and I were talking a little this morning, he's a music teacher too, and never doubt the potential that you have in your life, whether it's your occupational, whether it's the neighbor kids, nieces and nephews, to really inspire young people to find their path. It can come in very unknown ways. I'm sure Mrs. Stevens didn't know when she was there in front of all 20 of us plunking away on our little guitars where this would take us. I took to guitar almost like it was a power object. And so what I mean by power object is it's a tangible thing that when you hold it in your hands, that object actually helps you listen or sense some kind of a spiritual connection. Now, I didn't know about power objects probably till I was 45. But as I reflected back, and with the help of some very fine teachers, I realized there is something magical when I pick up the guitar. There is a way that I feel connected both to the earth and to the divine. And so I encourage you to look in your life. If you don't have power objects, they tend to be very simple things. They don't have to be musical instruments. It can be a stone on your path. It can be a feather that you find on your way. It can be jewelry that you wear. It can be animal totems that you just find inspiration in. So for me, I grew up Lutheran. I was a good little Lutheran until around age 45 when I kind of broke out of the mold. I was always a little jealous that Catholics had those cool rosary beads, right? Because we didn't have anything like that in the Lutheran church, and I'm like, gosh, that would be really cool if I had something I could hold in my hand. So those first songs I wrote really were in my early teens, around 13, I think. And initially the topics were really not spiritual. They were about people, about nature, about questions I had about my normal, everyday Lutheran adolescent life. I was always a big journaler, though, and I loved writing poems and finding meaning in my confused and emerging life. The song I shared at the beginning of the service, Whirlwind, was one I wrote when I was 16 or 17. I think it was my junior year. And I was out in my parents' back patio in Little Canada, Minnesota. And do you remember how the leaves in the fall make those whirlwinds? They kind of circle around. That's what my life felt like. Like everything was about to change. Nothing was going to stay the same. I didn't come from a family who had ever gone to college, and yet I was dating a boy who was going to college, and his family had generations of people going to college, and I kind of had to figure, is that my path? I think music is my path. And so that's the inspiration that came out of that song. And over the years, as music continued to be a part of my life, sometimes in bigger ways and sometimes not so much, I think songs for me are really, they start with a question or a perception or an answer that I need to find to make sense out of things that are happening in my world. And so at that adolescent time when 16 or 17-year-old Jane was trying to go, what am I going to do with my life? The answer that I got was just rejoice in the whirlwind that seems so confusing and cherish the moment you hold in your hand. And here I am 45 years later still singing that song because there's still truth in it. Confusion is all around us. And so the gift that we have to choose, if you decide to, is to find the joy in every single moment, even though it seems confusing and it makes us angry and we want things to change now. Take the time to find some gratitude. I often get asked, how do you write so many songs and how does that all work? And so I've been doing a lot of reflection. Here are a couple points that I know to be true. I don't write the songs as much as it feels like I find them. And it sounds kind of weird. When I was a teenager, we didn't have downloads. But now we have that word download, and it's almost like that I pose the question, and it's either in my life or those around me. And in my case, the answers happen to come through musically. If I take the time to find a moment, sometimes with my guitar, sometimes without, piece of paper, I have a song journal that I cycle. I sit and I actually pose the question and I ask for the answer to come through. It's not unusual that it takes 15 or 20 minutes for the whole thing to come, like lock, stock, and barrel, chords, lyrics, the whole thing. And that's one more sign to me that they're not mine, that they really do come to us as medicine for the people around me that I can share them with. And so I really say that with all humbleness, that many of the songs and the people who have listened to my music often say, that's exactly the song I needed to hear today, or that's exactly the message. So in some ways, songwriting for me is a request for help to understand my human experience. Over the years, as the fabric of my life really has begun to take form, I began to see that this process of asking for help and clarity from the divine is one which human beings have been doing for thousands of years. Indigenous people around the globe know that a direct connection to spirit is essential. And I just like to point out that each of us, if we reach back far enough, we have ancestors who knew this very practice of asking for help from the divine to receive answers on how to be a good human. Long before there were human organized religions and books that gave rules about what is the Word of God, there were humans deeply living in nature trying to figure it out. And at some basic level, I think my songwriting is a return to that basic of all human needs, to live well and to die well, understanding these human experiences that we have in the very best way we can muster. Isn't that why you come here? Isn't that why you listen to music at all or play music? Isn't that why you dance or you seek a community? It's to be supported in the process of this one precious human experience we're given and to find some joy. So far the points I've made about songwriting as spiritual practice is the songs for me come as answers to my questions from the divine, and that the songs are really the way that I process my life to be the best human I can be. And this includes letting things go. I have a daily practice that I started probably about 10 years ago. I have a little altar space in my home, and it can be any kind of a cosmology that makes sense to you, whether it's Christian or non-Christian, earth-based. That daily practice, I take time every morning to thank my ancestors, to call on them, to ask for protection. I say thank you for this breath in my life and this work that I'm about to embark on. I ask for protection specifically for my family, from my ancestors and my spirit helpers. And although each of us has our own family, our own work, our own breath, it's something we share across all of human connectedness. And all of them will come to pass. We don't take any of that with us when we leave the planet. Our breath leaves, we leave people behind, or we're left behind. And certainly our work changes over time. So I encourage you to explore this idea of creating some kind of space in your life, whether it's a physical space, a walking space, might be a space out in your yard, where you can actually take a moment and express gratitude for the spirits of the land upon which we stand on, the spirits of the air that fill our lungs with breath, and be able to find that magical moment each and every day to give gratitude and to ask for answers. When I first started doing this daily altar work, I asked Christina Pratt, who's one of my spiritual teachers from Portland, you can Google her, Last Mask Center. How do you know that the answer that you're getting is from Spirit, and it's not just me making up some wild idea? And she smiled and she said, you know that the answers are from Spirit because the information you receive, number one, surprises you. And the second checkpoint is that it's good for all living things. It doesn't hurt each other and it doesn't hurt the planet. And then, because all of the spirits want us to live well and to love each other, this big love that surrounds us. The next song that I'm going to sing for you is one that I sing at my little altar space. I've sung it before, a couple years ago. It really helps center me on staying connected. Many of us have big jobs, right? We live in Med City, for goodness sakes. We are about the healing of people in our community. And so this song is called Song for the Day, and I think it embodies my prayer for myself, so I'll share it with you.
Whatever the day brings, keep me open to discern what is and isn't really mine. Help me release those thoughts and patterns which no longer serve me well, are not divine. From going too far forward, release me from always looking back, to honor the gift this life's presenting. Keep love centered right here where I'm at. All the spirits calling, no matter the name or the spirit's face, I call them into this new day and moment. I call them into this new day and sacred space. For this day is a gift that's freely given, to rejoice and learn and live within our time. I thankfully step now into service for the dream that's spinning out from the divine. Whatever the day brings, divine.
So I have one more point to share this morning. Oh, look, we're right on time. Love that. The teacher in me loves that when I'm on time. And that's the point, that there are songs in all of us. Now, these songs are waiting to be sung. And while my songs are literally songs with lyrics, and the purpose in my lifetime is to share that song with you, your song is going to be different. It might be medicine. It might be nursing. It could be teaching. It could be one of the other arts. It could be listening. It could be service. But what I know to be true in my bones is that you are here for a purpose, and the world desperately needs each and every individual purpose that we have at this time in order to go forward in a good way. So the last song I'm going to share with you as part of the message is one I call Seasons. And it's just that. There are songs in us all that are waiting to be sung, and though I hear them on the breezes, everything we have will pass. And so even though people come into our life and we don't get it and we don't understand them and we can't see them clearly, they're here for a reason. And so I encourage you to just sit back, feel it in your bones, and thank you so much for being the beloved community that I can share this with.
There are songs in us all that are waiting to be sung, and there are days when I hear them on the breezes. And there are times in our life that we cherish as they pass, but they pass just as surely as the breeze does.
Hang on. For the benediction, I invite you to stretch out your arms or cover your heart to these words of Rumi. In the house of lovers, the walls are made of songs. The floor dances and the music never stops. Let this be a house of love and music. Blessed be, and have a good week.
Mary, if I knew you were coming, I'd have had you bring your flute. So you know this one. I couldn't leave you on too mellow of a note. So this is a song I've written recently called "Love's Got a Hold."
The day we arrived